Hi, everyone. We're back. It's the dynamic duo. Once again, we're here to talk a little bit of a track and field. I'm joined by the one and only Leighton Levy from Mr. Analyst channel. You got to subscribe to that for sure. And of course, I'm Dwaine from Sports Talk Tech. We'll be chopping up for the next hour or so some of the great standout performances, key storylines from the world of track and field. We're going to start with New Balance. But before that, Leighton, you've been a busy man. You've been pushing out a lot of great content. I love the Donovan Bailey video. The thing that struck me with the Donovan Bailey thing was, and you and I spoke about this before, he was talking about it's a no major championship year, and it's the time for athletes to tinker to make sure that they figure out what they're going to do, because it's impossible to do in an Olympic year or in a world championship year. And it was kind of good to see the great man give the Olympic seal on that, you know?
Yeah, look, DB and I go back. Of course, I didn't. He and I were in high school together, and so we have these conversations all the time. Even when he's in Canada, we have these conversations all the time about what athletes should be doing, because he's been there, he's done that. He was world champion in '95, Olympic champion in '96, world record holder, and had it not been for injury, probably would have had more success after '96 as well. So he brings a perspective that I appreciate a lot, because when you've been there and done that, there are a lot of things that you and I will probably guess about that he's more certain about. So it's nice to know that his perspective aligned a lot with what we're talking about in terms of, setting yourself up for the next cycle is 27, 28, and 29. Setting yourself up, do the change that you need to change, race as often as you can, and work on some of the things that you need to work on to improve for that big cycle coming up. So yeah, it was a really good chat. I'm sorry it wasn't longer, but I was having some issues with connectivity because you said I wouldn't get into that. But,
no, it's good to hear. And, for some people, 27, 28, and 9 is a make or break. For others, it might be the starting of a career. But probably the guy I want to start with, there's some world records, and we'll touch on the world records. But let's talk with the last event of New Balance, the 300 meters, a race that is interesting in many ways. When I was watching it and Noah Lyles was coming out, and we appreciate Lyles. I think Lyles is a guy that amps the crowd up. He does some interesting things. He puts the spotlight on himself, but he came out like it was wrestling. WWE was what I think my brother told me it looked like. And the question I have is, when you do that, when you stand up on the side of the track and you ask for the crowd to give you everything, don't you have to win the race?
They do, yeah. And you mentioned WWE. He said post-race, that's where he got the inspiration from. And look, one of the things that I love him or hate him, Nolas tries his best to bring ice to the sport. You can't kill him for that. After Bolt retired in 2017, I think the sport there's been a void in terms of that athlete who brings that personality to the sport. And he tries. It comes off as being contrived, because for Bolt it felt more organic. It was more real. It was more, that's how Usain is, if you get to know him. Huh? For Lyles, it feels like he's trying to build an act, which for some fans doesn't go over well. But you can't fault him for that. And the thing is, though, as you rightly said, when you bring that kind of energy, you need to win. You need to win. And Jereem had other ideas. When I looked at the splits, Jereem's first 100 was 10.74.
Yeah.
Second 100 was 9.98.
Yeah.
I see people talking about Jereem coming back at Noah, but the breakdown of the race suggests that it was Lyles who was closing on Jereem at the end of the race, because his last 100 was 10.6 something to Jereem's 10.7. I have the numbers somewhere.
We can put up the stats in a second. We'll get it on the screen here. That's there. But
yeah.
No, it was a fabulous race. I think when I looked at it, I think partly it looked like Lyles was coming back. There was a point where it looks like Jereem was ahead, and another point where Noah was ahead. But in the end, he just didn't have anything in the tank. I don't think Lyles, that is. He got
he said he was.
Yeah.
He said he was swimming the last 50. So that tells you. But look, naturally speaking, over the flat 100, Noah is obviously faster.
Right.
But Jereem's speed endurance is a lot better because he's a 400, a 2-4 man. And so for him, 300 is, well, on paper, it should be easier because then when you're running a 43, 74 man,
Right.
you're running at 300. And at 300, you don't have that kind of strain on your body like a 1-2 sprinter does. So, he said, remember, the 32:14 is his second best time.
Yeah.
Jereem is 32:10 is his PR. So, the reality is that 32:14 is not bad for him. And given the fact that he's coming off a good year, he ran a 4x4 really the week before. So he's had that rust element gone.
Right.
Or basically, moved off at a certain degree. And he held on strong because, so, his execution was pretty solid.
No, you can't complain. 32-14, 32-15. It's not quite sub 32, but it in the grand scheme of things, I think it's like top 15 times of all time. So it's still things that you would look at that, especially in a non-championship year, and you have to be happy with it. And if you're Jereem, he took the spotlight, and you beat the guy and you defend something where I don't know what their relationship is. Obviously, it looks cordial, but he delivered when it mattered. Yeah.
I did an interview with him a couple of months ago, and he has a good relationship. They don't train together, but there are certain days when they work together. And based on what I know, Jereem has hit some PR cleans this year in the background. So he's stronger. And I think you saw elements of that in that race because when you run a second 100 in 998 or a 300 and come home as strong as he did, it tells you that strength is beginning to show. So I sent him a message and said to him that maybe that 43-74 is going to go this year as well because if he's this much stronger early, maybe 43-70 or 43-60 on the offing, because I think he's going to go to the Commonwealth. I think he did mention that he's going to the Commonwealth Games. So, that's something that he's probably working towards with the aim of running, some 43 something because Summer Conga is going to be there as well, right? And some of the is Botswana the Commonwealth? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. I'm not 100%. I think they might be, but I have to check.
Yeah. But so I think he, in preparation for or the anticipation that he would probably face some significant. Of course, the English guys as well. Maybe him and Brahman are cooking up something for him to go much faster this year because Jereem seems to be aging backwards actually.
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
He seems to get better every year for the last 4 or 5 years. He's been getting better, and so can't really.
And I think he's found a spot in the 400. I think in his mind maybe the 200 is a love, but this is probably the place to be. And having said that, it's a very competitive space. I think last year obviously was a redemption for him. In Paris, you run so well and not get on the podium. It's outrageous. That was a great race in Paris. But to come back, get on the medal podium, and then if you think about who's absent, and then you think about Kibinet Sheppy and all these guys stepping up in a different way, I think you only have to come this year and try to improve because perhaps 43.7 may not be on the podium in 2 years' time, right? In a year's time rather, yeah.
Yeah, because based on what we're seeing in the 400, there has been, I wouldn't call it a paradigm shift, but there's an improvement in the quality that we've seen from the Botswanans, from the English, from even the Americans are back in the game now.
Yeah.
And the South Africans as well.
Right.
So you're looking at a situation where the 400 field is getting to be one of those fields that looks like the sprint hurdles for women.
Right.
Where every year some new talent comes in and they're contending immediately. So for him to win a Commonwealth title, because he's won a Commonwealth title in 200, but to win a Commonwealth title in 400 is going to be a little bit harder because I think when he won a Commonwealth title, the only person who was there to challenge was Daniel Hughes. But the 400 are different kettle of fish altogether.
Yeah, if those British guys show up, Max Bergen and the likes, that I think,
and Matthew Hudson-Smith.
Hudson, if he decides to run, because then it could be a different story. And I'd love to see it, right? You want athletes to show up and perform. And, we talk about not being a major championship year, but for some athletes, the Commonwealth Games is a big games. And prior to and you would know this, not to date you, but to people who know the history of the sport, the Commonwealth Games was regarded much, much higher, especially in the days before World Championships even started, because that's a 1980s phenomenon anyway. So
yeah, man, Commonwealth Games was massive. I remember when Donald Quarry was going to Commonwealth Games, everybody was excited about Donald Quarry going, because I think Donald won like 4 Commonwealth 100-meter titles or something like that.
Yeah,
it was a big deal. Yeah, but the reality is that since the World Championships, you're right. Since the World Championships, the Commonwealth Games has gradually diminished in terms of its relevance
stature. Yeah.
But but it's still there, and it's still to me major enough because there's enough quality there.
Yeah.
And you look at what the Commonwealth does in terms of sprint hurdles, in terms of the sprints generally. There is a lot of talent in the Commonwealth that shines at the Commonwealth Games. I mean, people forget that Elaine Thompson's last 2 major titles were the Commonwealth back in 2022. So, so it's going to be a big deal. Of course, the Ultimate Championships are there, but certainly the Commonwealth Games is big on people's agenda this year as well.
Yeah, I would say, think about it, it's mostly a lot of top quality athletes, and you think about even the field events, it's a massive place to be. And minus the Americans, it's basically everybody. I mean, it's not everybody, I don't want to do it that way, but there's a large contingent in terms of high quality world class athletes that if they decide to go to the Commonwealth Games, you will get a great show.
Think about the men's 800 meters.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody who is anybody really, except for 1 or 2 guys from France and today, it's from the Commonwealth.
Yeah. And the American guys, obviously. Yeah.
So the quality's always going to be there at the Commonwealth Games because, in truth, a lot of the talent exists within the Commonwealth.
Right. So I think it would, before we go into some other stuff, I want to talk about the hurdles, all of this, and I'm going to spring this one on you because maybe in a way that you don't like, but you can tell me. So I like Josh Hoey a lot. I think Hoey is, to me, a special athlete. Unfortunately, last year we won at 143 there. Yeah. Unfortunately, he couldn't get into the major championship because the American team was so special to make. And so he comes here and he breaks a record that, I jump up on my seat for. I was doing a watch along. I was shocked when he did it because at one point I wasn't sure he was going to break the record. And so I have to congratulate him, and nothing against Hoey on the record. But, I sat down and I made a video on this. We haven't released it because I'm not 100% sure if I should release it. But the question I was having is the record really that much better than Wilson Kipketer's record 28 years ago? And the reason why I'm asking is because Kipketer did that record in a championship there. It was a world indoor championship. So he has no pacing. He has no wave light technology. He has no super spikes because the spikes then were plastic. This is carbon fiber. He has no benefit, I don't think, from the bicarb. Bicarb was around, that, but that would give you diarrhea.
And it's legal, so for those who might be wondering.
Yes, it's not illegal. Right, exactly. So when you think about it in this context, I'm saying to myself, he dropped 2 seconds off the world record, but if Kipketer was around today, that would probably like 140 or something like that. I don't know,
Yeah, the context is important because what was the record before? 142.67?
67, I think, or so, yeah.
Yeah, and you ran 142.50.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, if Wilson had run with the advancement in technology, probably run 141.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I agree with you, and that's why it's hard to compare eras because there's so many different elements that go into what makes an era successful. But I think you credit where it's due, actually. I mean, he goes out there against I wouldn't particularly say a great field, but he still ran the world record 132.50. And remember, he does have the 600 world record, doesn't he?
Yeah, some weeks ago, yeah. In fact, the Americans are now holding all these indoor world records, all of them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and because it's a strength of the Americans, which was the point I was coming to. These guys are training indoors and the primary part of their background season is indoors. So yeah, it was an impressive record because it was an impressive race, like impressive performance, regardless of wherever the era was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can't see your point, but I'm still giving him credit.
No, I'm giving him a lot of credit. I that's why I feel in between, like it become like I'm hating on it, because I didn't even mention the track is much better. Those tracks used to rattle in the 90s. This is the hydraulic stuff here, energy return. It's a different level of track that you're on, so it's hard to compare the era for sure. The
eras. It's hard to compare eras because like I said, the technology. If some of the guys, well, let me coach it like this. Training methodologies are different now, better now, because I think there's a greater understanding of how the human body works.
Right.
When Jesse Owens, for example, was winning 4 gold medals in Berlin back in '36, based on what I read, the man just run and do some push-ups and run 2 laps and go.
Yeah.
He wouldn't last with that kind of program. He wouldn't last against high school kids. No.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare eras. So you have to understand eras within the context of the era itself, because, well, the technology is there, the improvements in nutrition, training methodology, strength work, just general flexibility work.
Everything.
That a lot of athletes use now. Everything is better now. So, what it does speak to is the limit of the human performance levels, because a lot of these improvements, the performances have been relatively incremental in terms of what used to be. I mean, for certain events it's different. Like, for example, I think Jesse Owens ran 100 yards in like
10-3 or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, yeah. Sometime where right now, if he should run now against, well, he was the best of his time. So let's say Usain Bolt. It was chalk and cheese. So so I think it's best to keep each era within the context of that individual era, because so many things change over time.
Right. And you don't get a Bob Hayes, a Carl Lewis, you name it, or Usain Bolt without Jesse and the likes. It's the same like when we think about like Wint and McKinley and Roden and those guys. You don't get the 400 meters and to a different stage if they don't lay the foundation. So I have to be, I think he did 9.3 in the 100 yards and 10.2 in the Yeah,
because for example, Herb was the first man in history to break 46 seconds in the 400 meters.
Yeah.
If he was doing if he was running that now, I mean, nobody would be knowing who Herb McKinley is.
Exactly.
Assuming that he was using the same
technology
equipment that he was using then that he's using now, because I mean, the big twin
spikes are like 4 pounds that time or something.
Yeah, like 4 pound spikes. Because they're running on cinder, you're not running on a Monda service or regular ball. So there are a lot of differences now. So it's kind of hard to compare. You never can tell what would have happened if you could transfer those guys to this current era using current methodologies and technology. That's what they would be able to perform.
There are models out there, but the models are never perfect, and you just can never do it. And it's hard to think about an athlete who's professional all the day, and then a guy working half of the day or part-time or something.
And then go train with all half of the evening.
Yeah.
When these guys are training twice a day, they wake up from 5 o'clock and train until 8. And come back again and train from 3 until 5. Or like how them do at these days, when train at the hot sun at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is great. But so there's so many different little dynamics that are involved in how athletes prepare. And so that's why for me it's hard to compare era.
Yeah. No, it is. It's sometimes even difficult to compare the 80s and the 90s to now, which is much easier, but it's still a lot of difference, Yeah,
because even just then I was thinking about, when I looked at I was watching the Brazil 82 team. World Cup.
Yeah, that's the greatest team never to win the World Cup, right? Yeah.
World Cup, But if they were playing now, would they be as successful? Because them guys just walk on the field, they just walk and pass and look pretty and sweet. The game now is so much faster, it's so much more intense. The pressing is different. The the structures are different in terms of things. So it's hard to compare. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I would have to think that any great athlete in any era, regardless of sport, would have adapted to the times and would probably give their very best. So that's the only thing we could say, Yeah, there's a lot of models, but they're just like, we can never know. Shout out to everybody on Leighton Levy's channel here. I'm looking at your channel, and a shout out to people coming through. Get your comments in if you want. We get them on the screen. So let's go back to the hurdles. We'll start at the top a little bit. Danielle Williams at the time, world leading time, 7:87. You spoke to her coach a couple weeks before. Danielle is also an athlete you just don't know. She's like evergreen too. Maybe we could say she's aging backwards. I think she's just running free. She has nothing to really prove. I'm not sure if she's thinking about sticking around until the Olympic Games, but she's done it all. World champion double times. So your thoughts on the race? She was also in the race with a world record holder. I thought they came out really well, and then Danielle just gave her established dominance. And maybe a word on Megan. Megan, they're finishing down the track in 8:21.
Yeah,
kind of run that we would have liked.
Yeah, I think for Danielle, I think this is a progression from the 792 that she ran a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Based on what Lennox was saying, they're just working. They're getting rid of the rust, and they're just working towards what I anticipate will be primarily just maybe Diamond League circuit for the outdoor season, because I don't hear. And who knows if she's going to Commonwealth Games? I'm not sure. They haven't decided, based on what he said to me. They haven't decided what they're going to be doing yet. Still a work in progress. So I wasn't really surprised. For Devin, I don't know. It's normally you see Devin come in and do something this early, like 770s or whatever it is.
Right.
Maybe they're designing a program for her to probably do World Indoors coming up certainly. So that's probably they're timing their thing for her to start to peak towards end of March. And so and when you look at the race, I don't think it was a great race for her.
Right.
The execution probably wasn't what she wanted. Normally Devin gets out fast, and those first 3 hurdles quickly and never catch her for 60. Because it was something I spoke to her about a couple of years ago when she was in Jamaica. I said to her, the first 5 hurdles are never the issue for you. It's the last 5 are the issues for you. And she was saying that, it's something that they're working on, Coach Lonnie and them working on things. So maybe it's a program, they're designing the program for her to not start to really run fast and maybe mid-February leading into March. And for Meg, I think Meg is just settling back in. Remember, she's changed camps.
Right.
She moved to a different country. She getting used to a new program, and probably a little bit of the moving well. Kind of when you move, everything is discombobulated for you for a while until they settle down. So probably she hasn't fully settled yet.
And Lexington is a different. I like Lexington, but it's a different place, and it's colder than which she's used to. I know she's used to a little bit of cold, but it's different,
What I can tell you is that she wasn't happy with the performance at all.
Yeah,
she said it was really embarrassing and disappointing. That's what she said. So I suspect, and she did tell me that little piece of interview that I could carry when I spoke to her. She said that she wants to run indoors this season.
Okay.
Maybe she'll perform better in a few races to come, but clearly she wasn't happy with this race and the last weekend, because, as you said, disappointing and embarrassing. That's what she used to describe.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, hopefully, she kicks on. It's a long season, and we'll see. On the men's side, it was interesting. Trey Cunningham going out there equaling the world lead at the time, 7:48. I'm not surprised there. Huh? He looked good. Yeah.
He looks good. Yeah. He looks really sharp. I mean, for early season, Trey looks like he's been running for about 6 weeks already.
Right. The rhythm was good to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good rhythm. He was clean. I mean, you're in a race with Cardell Tinch, who we know it was very same Cardell Tinch. And
Daniel Roberts. Those two are the surprise, right? Finishing way down 7 762
Yeah.
and 766. Yeah.
And he outraced both of them comfortably. So maybe this is Trey's season.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not a major championship year, so we'll see.
Right. Because last year he looked well, 13 flat a couple of times, and it just never worked out for him getting into the major championship. But
I think what happened to him, I get the sense that he may have peaked early last year, primarily because of when he ran in the Grand Slam track, he ran on the circuit. And so maybe, because sometimes coaches get that wrong, where the cycle is, you have to be very specific with the cycle. And if you miss out on any small detail of the cycle after it peaks at the wrong time, we saw that a couple of years ago with Andrew Hansel Parchment, where his best performances came after the Olympic Games and after the World Championships, actually, in 2023 in Budapest. And I remember, I think Coleman had said to me that I think he thinks he made a slight mistake in the program, which resulted in what it was. So these things can happen sometimes, and I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think, and you have to really be circumspect at the national championships for the Americans, because they have 6-7 guys who on any given day can definitely make it into a championship. So
because you have to be very specific. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes. If you make mistakes, you're in real trouble. The interesting thing is the 60 meters. So we saw, we can do it in different contexts. One, Dean Asher-Smith, she's been running a couple races before here, runs a season best 7:08. Brianna Liston for the first time, 7:11 right behind her, and Leah Bertram there from Trinidad, 7:32. It was like two different races happening at the same time. And when the first time I'm watching the race, I was just looking at Brianna to see if there's any strapping, to see if there's anything on the legs, and there was nothing. And that made me feel really good, because we haven't seen her for a while, and she was rusty, obviously, but it's good to have her back on the track.
Yeah, look, she hadn't raced since March last year. Remember, she ran at the SECs, and then she literally stopped running for the rest of the season and went pro. And so she went to Florida, based on what I'm told. She had some expert look at the situation with her hamstring, and they dealt with that. They went to Brahman after that, and based on what I heard from very reliable sources, and based on what she said after the race on Saturday, they aligned in terms of the fact that some of the initial work that was done when she went to Brahman was to continue to strengthen that hamstring, get her stronger. And Brahman said that she's been responding well to the work. And she said she ran. But the key thing for me, for what she said post-race, was that she did a lot of work on the track for her head, which is important, because when you have as many injuries as she has had from high school, from a Highdale, was straight through to the 3 years that she was at LSU. So the 3 years competing, because she finished her degree last December, but she did it remotely. But when you're running and you're not staying healthy and you're not performing at your best, it does impact on you mentally. So her admitting that, getting back to this level now, because as Lance Brahman says, this is her fastest opener ever. So it has a lot to do with her focus, and a lot to do with the fact that she probably knows a lot more confident, because she knows now that, or she believes now, that the hamstring is not going to be an issue anymore, or at least not for the foreseeable future. Because I think there's a lot of work left, because as Donovan said in the interview that we talked about, he said at 40 you could see her wheels, which means that she's beginning to turn in the way in which we expect her to turn. So I think she'll be happy. 7:11 is a pretty good time. Her previous opener was 7:13. Right. With 7:11 after not racing for the better part of 10 months. I don't think she can complain. Had it not been for, if she had had a couple of more races before that, I think she probably would have won that race. So Adina.
I agree, and I think she could have pushed harder if she wanted to. But as you said, no one trusts the body. No, no doctor, no coach, no one can tell an athlete that they're ready until they know for themselves that they're ready when they test it out. No amount of psychological training to say you're not injured anymore. And it takes a while. And I hope she runs a few races. And if she gets her body where she can start running like a free person, we might see the Brianna Liston that many of us think is, I don't want to put pressure again. I said it the other day. People are saying, I was saying Brianna is the closest thing I've seen to Elaine in terms of talent. But that doesn't mean she'll get to those high standards, but people think
it's true. I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday. Who she reminds me of is Merlin Notty.
100.
She looks, when she's running, that is, if you were young enough not to see Merlin compete, that is how Merlin looked. Darman said he thinks she made a mistake early in the race. She got up too quickly as opposed to driving and probably driving for the first 20 meters. So she lost some momentum there. But I think that comes in time. I think, with a few more races under her belt, and I'm sure Lance will probably talk to her about that. Well, but in terms of the confidence side of things, you saw her literally closing on Dina. So, because in my mind, if that was 100, Dina loses that 100. So the reality is that, she's off to a good start. Somebody asked me recently what I thought she was going to deliver at that meet, and I said, I don't know, because she hadn't raced in 10 months. You don't know whether or not she's 100%. You don't know what kind of program she's on. You don't know anything about her preparation in terms of what she'll be able to deliver in training that will give her the opportunity to come out and perform well. But she has performed well. And Brahman said he was pleased with the performance. So, she's off to a good start. That's a plus for her. And she did say something, because she was asked after the race about, joining up with the Clinton twins, because as you know, they're part of that world record
4x1
team.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can make the necessary progress over this year into next year, a 4x1 team at Worlds looks like the Clinton twins. I'm just saying here, and Sharika Williams, Sharika Jaxson, sorry.
Jaxson, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the makings of a very good 4x1 team. Because I suspect, unless something untoward happens, I'm thinking that both Clinton girls are going to be 10-7 mids, 10-7 lows this year. So, with those two and Sharika, who I'm anticipating will be back close to her best. I don't know how close she can get back to that 10.65 shape. And Brenna Liston, a fit Brenna Liston. I'm sure there are other ladies who are going to try to come through.
Right.
Maybe Cameron Nelson who's at or Alana Reid. You have what's her name?
Janelle Smith still around. You can't count her out.
Janelle Smith, Janelle Smith, who looks really good in those two races in Stockholm, 7:12 and 7:15. She's hoping to break 11 seconds this year. So there are a lot of people coming through. Janelle is 29, but the fact is that, as Donovan rightly alluded to, and I agree with it, the fact that she hasn't been able to compete consistently over the last 4 years because of injury, her body is not as banged up as other athletes of a similar age. So you're looking at a situation where Jamaica would have a very deep squad with Brenna Liston being a key member of that squad, given the fact that she's looking healthier than ever before. Well, healthier certainly than the last 4 years.
Yeah. No, I like the space. I like where she is, and I hope that if she responds to training and she's not hurt, we will see some performances that I don't think we would have a jaw-dropping reaction to, but a lot of people will, because they were like, "Where is that from?" But if they know, they know, because the talent is really there, and that Merlin look is good. The clothes on the Merlin looks like the 80s Merlin, or like like a Soul or 92 there in Barcelona. It's like there's something there, Yeah.
Yeah, man. She's clearly, look, one of the things that you have to look at Brahman's record as well. What he's done with Veronica Campbell, he's done with Shawnee Miller. He's to me, I don't know if it's underrated is the right word to use, but when people talk about great coaches, they talk about Frano, they talk about Dan Smith, they talk about Florial. But Lance Brahman does a spectacular job with the athletes that he has. Look at what happened with Lyles, how he's improved over the last few years. What he's done with Jereem, what he's done with Oceanian, what he's done with a whole bunch of athletes that he's had. He has had a lot of success.
Didn't he have Gatlin at one point too? Did he?
I think so, yeah. I think he had Gatlin at one point as well. So
no, his record is he can stand on it all day and twice on Sundays, you know.
Yeah. So, so the reality is that if he has enough time and we are patient enough, Brianna is 21 now.
Yeah.
So by the time she's 23, she could be flying as long as she stays healthy.
Yeah.
Flying, and since we're 10, 7, 21s, because she'll have 2 years to get a lot stronger. One of the things I do know about Brahman's athletes, one of the primary things that they focus on every year is to get stronger each year. If you look, like for example, if you look at what Noah has been doing over the last 3 years, when he was cleaning with one plate on each side, 2022. I'm trying to remember, because sometimes I get videos from out of the camp as well. And then last year he was doing 3 plates. The cleans. Similarly, Jereem was doing 2 plates this year as well, up from 1 plate last year. So if he can do the same with Brianna, because she's small,
right?
Not the biggest athlete. If he can get her to that level of strength where she has the because clearly she has the speed, but she has the power to back it up and the speed endurance and strength endurance. She can be a 21 sprinter in 2 years easily.
Right. Yeah.
And probably a 10-8 sprinter. Because she already ran 10-8 winded in when she was at LSU.
Yeah.
So it's closer than we think in terms of what she's doing.
No, I agree. I think I don't know where her ceiling is, but I would not be shocked if she ran 21.6 in 3 years' time, showing up at the or 2 years' time at the LA Olympics. So I'm not
because she remember she had a 400 background as well. And she ran incredible 400 splits at champs. And I think she ran 4x4 relays when she just went to LSU as well. So that speed endurance is there, that strength endurance is there. So it's just about the muscle memory, and Lance activating that and putting it into play in terms of her preparation. She's smooth as Stuart Scott used to say, smooth as the other side of the pillow.
Speaking of youngsters, I wasn't going to go there, but when you said that, it made me reflect on, I saw the clip of Shania Douglas running that indoor 36.98. Yeah. She too, I think, is an interesting talent. Yeah.
Listen, man, that girl, look, she and Sabrina Duck used to have some epic battles. Sabrina Duck is now at Lance Brahman.
Yeah.
Shania is still in high school. She transferred from Tennessee to Holland, which was significantly impacted by the hurricane. And she lost to Alexia Henry at the meet at JC Cup a few weeks ago, which created a big stir because that potentially now builds a rivalry going into champs in 2026. But that 36.9 tells me that Shania Douglas, rumors of her demise are greatly exaggerated. I think she's going to be storming by the time champs come through, because that's, I think, a national under-20 record. I'm not sure.
It is.
But I think
I don't think we have any. Yeah, I think it's a national under-20 record. Yeah,
she clearly is a lot stronger than she was in the last couple of years. And we saw what she done at Carifta. 200, 400, 4x4 relays. She was imperious. So if she's stronger this year, notwithstanding the challenges that coaches might have at Holland, given the devastation that the school experienced in the hurricane.
Right.
We could be in for something special this year at champs.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to that for sure. I have a lot of time for her. And this is the thing about the Jamaica pipeline, especially with the women. There's never been a moment where you sit back and say, where's the talent coming from? The talent's always there for the men. It's always sometimes a transition, and we've talked about it. We don't have to rehash the headspace on that part. But the women are always, you will find them, and if you nurture them the right way, they'll deliver. Speaking of someone,
let's be more focused as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be more focused as well.
100%. Speaking on someone delivering too, how about Hakeem Blake? New contract, and I think On Sports is doing some interesting stuff. They just signed Soufiane El Bekele as well, so they're pushing into the track and field space in different ways. I
Big
remember
time.
when was it 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I was at Penn Relays and I saw they had a whole booth and they were trying to get people to come through. And I think they're trying to get into the sport in some interesting ways. And it's good for Akeem to get a new contract here and to start off by winning too, and winning relatively well. I mean, the guy the Benitez guy there came through strong too, but Blake I think was comfortable enough.
Yeah, listen. One of the I had a conversation with Mikey Frater, his coach.
Yeah.
I think the same night, and he said one of the things that he's working on this year is keeping Akeem in the gym. So and you saw he's clearly bigger.
Yeah.
You can see the muscles in his shoulder and in his legs. He's a lot bigger. I mean, when you're coming off a background, obviously you're going to be bigger because you're just coming out of the weight room. But the key thing I think right now this year for him is to keep that strength level up. What we've seen from Akeem over the past few years, that he starts the season well, he run PBs early, 988, 989, and then going into the championships, he just seems to taper off. I mean, you remember that trials he ran a PB at 988 and he goes into Tokyo. And runs like some 10s and couldn't get past the semi-final. So I think the key thing for them here now is to ensure that he stays strong throughout the year. I think part of their plan is to go to World Indoors as well. But he was a bronze medalist last time out. So maybe they're thinking that, and then maybe it's what happens for the rest of the season.
Right.
But the key thing for him is to stay strong.
Let me ask you, because it's something that we've discussed before and we've looked at it, and I'm sure Frater and they should see this. Like, it strikes me that when he gets to like 60 meters over the 100 meters, and he's like, there's a significant drop off at in terms of like it doesn't have the endurance again. You could look at many of the Diamond League races and just kind of compute, and you're like, why is he dropping off and can't sustain that to the end? And he's like decelerating much quicker than the rest. And so the question is, what's the solution? Is it a fight between coach and athlete that is not applying or wanting to do the work, or they just never thought about it that way?
It could be any one of those things. One of the things that I do understand about some of these young athletes is that sometimes they don't appreciate the work that is necessary to maintain at a high level. They get to a level and they think that just getting to the level allows them to stay there. That's not the case. Once you get to that level, you have to work even harder to push past that level and continue to progress. So maybe that's a lesson I don't know for certain, but
right.
what I can say is that based on the performances on the track, there could be some issues with perhaps discipline. There could be some issues with nutrition. I don't know. It could be any one of several things. But the sense I get this year is that there's going to be a lot more attention paid to detail in terms of what is required for him to maintain that. Because we all know he's fat. We saw him run on Christian Coleman in California a couple of seasons ago and run 989.
Right.
We saw him run 988 at the trials last year. He has it in him to be able to do this and to possibly go faster. So there's clearly something that is missing or not being executed enough while he tapers off. But the challenge for him this year, as I was telling a friend of mine just yesterday again, is that he's no longer in the big three.
Exactly.
In Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right?
It's far from it, I think.
Shane and Brian Level.
And Brian Level, yeah.
Brian Level is 982 and 19.64. Right?
And
so
I think he's going to be 9.7, as you said, next year too, right? Or
for real.
Yeah.
So if Akeem wants to be in that conversation, that 988 has to get down to 980 or 979, somewhere in that region. That's going to require him to maintain his strength levels through the course of the season, which means lifting in the gym. I mean, even Donovan will say, again, going back to that conversation, Donovan was saying he lifts all year. He never back off of the gym. Same thing with Johan. Same thing with Warren. Same thing with Hussein. They never stop lifting. You have to keep lifting because you lift for January, February, March, and you start competing, and you figure, oh, I have enough strength. No, it doesn't work like that because the minute you stop lifting, your strength starts to depreciate. Yeah, so you have to keep on lifting. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whole program, but even if you're going to the gym and say, okay, my max out, I said, represents 300 pounds. Right. And every week you go 3 days a week and you say, okay, 3 reps for that or 2 reps for that to maintain those strength levels. And you squat maybe 600 pounds and the 2 reps for that 3 times a week. It don't have to be a full-fledged program. It just has to be that you do the work necessary.
It has to be some snatch or some clean and jerk. Yeah. Something has to happen, Yeah,
man. You have to do this. You have to do the cleans. Yeah. You have to do the plyometrics. You have to do the cleans. You have to lift heavy. And again, heavy is not about a million reps. It's just 1 or 2 reps. I mean,
it's not for bodybuilding as people might think. No.
Yeah. So it just maintaining our strength level because once he's able to do that, we know he can run fast. Yeah. It's just a matter of doing the things that are necessary for him to maintain that speed and go faster. Because right now, in this current era, 988 is the 4th fastest Jamaican. Yeah. Only 3 can get into an India championship.
Yeah, he may have to go try win the Diamond League again like he won some years ago, but that didn't count that year for sure. But I look at him and I say, I don't know where his ceiling is. It's hard to say, but you look at him and you know that this should be an athlete that should give you a repeated low 9.8s. He should live in low 9.8s. He should be a 985. A 984 guy and can pop it out within a 90-minute period because that's the key for all these athletes. Unless you're like way out there on the scale, you need to be able to like run as close as your best and a semifinal and then come back and deliver again. And so the question to you then is, last year you ran what, at 200? It was a 2020 as a 200 time over 2020. Is it the case that they got to get him to run a lot more 200s or it's just not a thing for them?
I don't know. I think it's a combination because he ran a few 200s early in the season last year and ran some PBs as well.
Yeah, so I think 2020 was his the fastest time. Yeah,
which was not bad time for that part of the season, the early season. So I think what he probably need, and I'm sure that I'm not going to try to be a coach here, but maybe some 300s as well, some 200s. That strength rate that we're talking about and maintain that level that for especially for the endurance side of things.
Right.
Some more 200s, like obliques as he plans to run this year. Run some 200 at some of those invitational meets, local meets, and probably can get into a Diamond League meet and run. Even if he doesn't win, just the racing and the experience and getting those 200s in his legs allows him to maintain that speed longer in the 100 and run a faster time because right now he's 0.06 off the 3rd fastest time in Jamaica last year, which was 982 from ground level. Who's only run 100 for the year last year. I mean, so you're looking at a situation where if he is to get back in the conversation and go to trials and be among the top 3, I'm thinking he's going to have to run 9.7.
Yeah. The only grace for him is the idea that Oblique will have a buy into China, so there's the spot is there, but you don't want to get in on that kind of calculation. You want to do it,
No, because and the advantage for him, though, as you mentioned, with Oblique having the buy, is that if he improves to the point where he can run 9.8 lows or 9.7s consistently. Jamaica could have 4 guys in the final,
right?
In Beijing, So, because right now you're looking at what Noah and Kenny, and
I guess I mean, a good question. It depends on what Letzili decides to do. I mean, I don't know. There's some youngsters coming.
Yeah, but there are not that many guys who are going to be able to run 9.8 lows and run 9.8 lows consistently. So if he can be consistent at 9.8s and probably dip into 9.7s, he's in a final, and Jamaica has 4 men in a final, and they have a very strong relay team if Brad Level changes his mind about representing Jamaica in the 4x1.
Fingers crossed for that. This is you need
so
diplomatic negotiation. I hope the negotiations are happening now and not a couple weeks before the championship.
One of the things is this. I think people need to start taking the ego out of their whole thing. Huh? They're not running for the Argentina coaches. They're running for Jamaica. And the coach might diss you and you might feel a way about it. But be a big man about it and just say, I run for them, man. I run for my colors, I run for my country, I run for my brethren, I run for my team.
Right.
And go there and do something. Because this team, if Jamaica can put Oblique, Kishin, Brian Level and Keith Blake on that track and work on the button changes, I don't see anybody can beat them.
Yeah. That should be 37 low, potentially sub 37 if they can get it right. Yeah.
If they get it right, it can be sub 37.
Yeah.
Because you remember the year when they ran 36.8, Nesta was 995 and Michael was 994.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys, given the speed that we know they have and they've demonstrated that they have, if they can put that together
and get the chemistry right, they should be able to.
They can
before we move on. Yeah, a couple of questions. There's a question on your channel here. Do you think it's time for a coaching change for Akeem, stronger than ever, or than ever asking that? I don't know.
Look, regardless of whoever coaches Akeem,
right?
Because to be fair, I don't think Michael has done a bad job with him. Yeah. I think maybe if there's any shortcoming is that maybe they have left some things to chance that they should not be leaving to chance. Or leaving it to a circumstance, I should say, not chance. And probably paying a little bit closer. And you learn, look, Mike is a young coach. Huh?
Right.
A few years. So experience will teach you a lot of things. So given that each year is a learning experience for a new coach, I think this year they could probably put all the pieces together for Akeem to realize his full potential. One of the things that in 2024, Akeem had an issue with, based on my understanding, he doesn't eat well when he travels because he's one of those Jamaicans that like Jamaican food, and whenever I'm going to realize that Jamaican food and not eating it. When they were in Paris, the food was
that sounds like a sports psychologist thing there.
Listen, every athlete I've spoken to, both here and abroad, said that the food in Paris was dreadful. So therefore, he wasn't. I hear that he didn't even eat when he was in Paris. He was picking the food because it was just, in his mind, it was awful. As a result of that, he didn't have the energy required to go to the rounds and eventually fell short in the semifinal because he just didn't have the energy. Last year, it was a situation where his strength was depleting because he wasn't lifting enough. This year, maybe all of those things come together, getting him in a proper nutrition plan, forcing him to eat when it's required, and of course, lifting as is required for him. And then all those pieces come together and boom.
Right. But he's a well-traveled athlete. He's been on the entire diamond. To win the Diamond League, you had to go everywhere. I mean, you have to figure it out. Maybe you have to travel, pack some food if you like, then, or something, like.
Yeah, do like a lot of athletes. I mean, even you saying used to talk.
Meal prep.
Them used to pack bully beef in them suitcase and some rice and whatever it is, and another thing in a hot plate. Yes.
I know I'm a different guy, and I don't know what kind of food they had in the village. I can tell you when I was in Paris, I never had a bad meal, but that's a different story. But Margaret is asking, this might be a bit early here. Great expectations for Beijing. I can't think that far. I don't know if you can think that far.
I forget with that 2026 first.
Yeah, I have to see Ultimate Championship. I have to see a lot of stuff. There's someone here, Rico Too Hot is saying, he's asking Mr. Levy, how fast you think Adrian Carr will run this year over 200?
I was asked that question last year. He ran 20.1 something. I think he ran last year.
I think so. I have to check.
Yeah, check it. But Adrian Carr for me is one of those athletes who And here's the thing: I don't know much about what his program looks like. I do know that he seems to be able to have the ability to run fast.
I think he did
There's something.
22.08 apparently. Yeah, 22. No,
Yeah,
sorry, 20.08. Sorry.
38.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 20.08 tells me that he's capable of going sub 20. So for right now, unless there's something going on with him that we're not aware of, and his coaches make the necessary adjustments, I think he can run 1995, 1992 in that window for 2026. Whether or not that's going to be able to get him anywhere on the global stage is another matter, because right now we're looking at 1905s, 1906s, 1907s. Can he get there in another year or two? I am sure, but I should say I'm not sure. What I mean is that his coach is going to have to work with a plan for him to be able to run fast and run fast consistently. Because he came to trials last year, I think, and he wasn't particularly impressive at trials either. So, unless I find out some more about what his training, his coaching regimen looks like, and what kind of plan they have for him in terms of strength and conditioning, it's really hard to say. I think what I've seen of him suggests that he has more in the tank. How much more? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because he's a 10.08 guy from 2023, I think, and a 20.08 from last September he ran. I don't know if that was I don't know where that was, but yeah, he has talent. I don't know. This year's run, 697 over 60 meters, so he's still a bit off, and that won't cut it right now. So I'm not
that
quite
first
sure
60 has to get down to 650s and
yeah. So we'll see.
And the 200 is about speed distribution, not necessarily just loss.
Yeah. Talent is there, but if you can figure it out, you figure it out. The landscape has changed, right? And that's the thing, even for Akeem Blake we were just talking about. You can't sit and watch Brian Level and Kishane Thompson back-to-back years getting on the podium, oblique finally getting on the top. Those guys don't have zero intentions of giving you a spot on the podium. A spot
you have to earn it.
On the team, rather. Yeah.
You have to earn it. You have to kick somebody out fight, and if you're not doing it, well, you're going to step on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Because Brian Level last year, in his second major year as a pro,
right,
delivered in a big way last year. 1964, 982. Akeem has some catching up to do.
Yeah. And we all know that there's a lot more in the tank for Brian over 100 meters. And I mean, and he's the youngest of the lot too, right? So it's you have to work hard.
That boy is fast.
Yeah. Very
fast. The 10:02 of the curve in the final last year, only Usain Bolt has run a curve faster than that. That's how fast he is.
Yeah. And you get on the podium at your first champion, and it's gonna be special moving forward. You never know. I mean, you might be looking at the Olympic champion in LA. I'm not saying that now, but you just never know.
Yeah. I mean, the way Shaniki has been progressing is not a far-fetched possibility. It's if you look at somebody who is just turned 21.
Yeah, I think it's like 21.
19.64 after coming off a 19.8 and a 19.7 behind that. It wouldn't be outside of him a possibility to see him progress to 19.4 by 2028.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. New Balance was great. I don't know if we have time to touch on other performances. Obviously, there are more other world records there too. There are some good 600 meters that I was the Irish guy, Mac Phillips, there running 1:16:37.
And that was impressive. He destroyed that field. And it's important to know for me that performance is that when he crossed the last 50, he did not look like he was trying. He was just running.
Yeah, upright. He was really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Normally, you can't see the pain on these guys when they're finishing. He doesn't like him just start run. And I'm like, yo, dog.
Yeah. No, it was like, I think his last 200 was like 25:57, and he was like murdering Donovan Brazier and Bryce at that time. Yeah.
Incredible performance.
I like him, yeah. obviously 2000 Hobbs Kessler, the other world record. The Americans are doing something special in terms of these distances. They've basically took the Africans off the list totally. Or I mean, Kipketer was African, then he went to Denmark.
Yeah.
Not then he was it Danish, right? Then he went to Denmark afterwards. But yeah, 448, 79 over 2,000 meters. It's not a race that we run outside of the kind of indoor season, so it's really hard to make sense of that. But that was good. I didn't think Kessler was going to beat Grant Fisher because I was watching Fisher and I thought he was going to win the race, and he got totally outclassed there as well. So yeah.
One of the things that seems to me is that the spirit of Steve Prefontaine is coming back strong in America.
Interesting. Yeah.
If you look at what has been happening in Oregon and some other places as well, I mean, even on the collegiate circuit, the times are gradually coming down. Remember, Americans are known for the sprints, like Jamaica, but they're also known that during the 1960s, 1970s, for the middle distances as well. Yeah. And I think what we're seeing is a resurgence of that spirit that Steve Prefontaine, put in a bottle back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And somebody opened that bottle and let it out, and it's coming back in a big way. So the American, Grant Fisher, all of these guys are running.
All of these guys, Bryce Hoppel, Hobbs Kessler, everybody, but winning medals, Hoppel, that he runs 141 and came, medal at the Paris Olympics there. So it's interesting, There's a bunch of guys come. The women too, St. Clair, all of those people,
she's special to me,
Yeah.
She has a baby year before last, come back and run well. She had a baby again, I'll come back and run as well. And, there was a series one time, and that used to happen in high schools here in Jamaica, where they said these girls used to get pregnant, and what just happened a while ago? The buildup of hormones got them. Where am I?
You're not there?
No, I'm not. For some reasons I've gone off screen.
I'm seeing you though. You're still on screen though. Yeah, if you can hear me.
Yeah, but I don't know. My screen just went blank. I mean, I don't know what's going on. But anyway,
maybe.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you very clearly. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything at all. Okay, but so the reality is that I forgot what I was going to say.
You were saying something about pregnancy and coming back and doing
get pregnant and then they abort the fetus, and then the hormonal buildup in your body with the different things allow you to get stronger and get faster and build up more endurance.
Yeah.
There are rumors about some athletes who we know of who actually did that, but that was just rumor.
Right.
So no, I'm not seeing you at all. I don't know what's going on. But
maybe were you on full screen? Maybe it just slipped away on the tab or something like that. Yeah.
I am actually checking, but I'm not seeing where.
Well, perhaps we should call it then. If you're not seeing, I can see you obviously, but if you can't see me,
if you can't see me, we can continue for a while. But the thing is that I'm looking at a blank screen. I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay, yeah. There's a couple questions popping through. I think East Side Crime says, what is he saying here? DeAndre Daly is an athlete. I really hope transition well. I don't know. I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so too. I mean, that guy is fast. The thing is, I don't know much about what he's doing. I don't even know where he is, to be honest. But he ran well last year. I know he was hurt early last year, hurt badly too. So that would have impacted his season.
Yeah.
But whether or not he comes back stronger this year, because clearly he has the potential to run fast.
Yeah.
I think if he says this year, he runs sub-10. People remember him walking down that Bahamian sprint at Carifta a few years ago.
Yeah.
And looking across at him on the line. And he clearly has good speed. It's just that I don't know. The transition is always never easy. The transition takes time. I keep telling people forget that it took Bolt 4 years to complete that transition.
Right.
And he had his issues one way. He had injury issues in 2005 in the final of the World Championships in Helsinki. And then in 2007, things started to come together when he came second behind Tyson Gane Osaka. And then 2008, he just blew up. Maybe DeAndre
Rest is
Daly is
history, as
somewhere
they
along.
say, right?
Yeah, the rest is history. So, the reality is that sometimes we have to just give these kids a little bit of time because not everybody is going to make that successful transition in the same time frame. Sometimes it takes some of them a little bit longer, for whatever reason. Lack of funding, lack of a proper program,
Right.
experience, coaching, all kind of different things can impact an athlete's ability to make the kind of progression that they need to make. So it's kind of one of those things where what I'll do though, I will try to find out where he's at. I'll call up my people and find out where he's at.
Right.
See if I can get a conversation with his coaches and find out what they have planned for this year and what they have, what the projection is for him for this season.
Any word on
That's
Gary
something
Card?
He is supposed to be running at some meet soon, He was, as you know, he was badly hurt at Champs last year. I was at Carifta. He ran at Carifta. He was hurt at Carifta as well. But all based on what I'm hearing so far, he's healthy, training. And the key thing for him is that he can't seem to stay healthy.
It's a good question. Yeah, I wonder why. I mean, because this is really explosive kid there too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's really fast. And the thing about it is that sometimes, though, I think when you're building power on a growing body, the body breaks down. Because remember, you're still growing, your bones are not fully set, your tendons are not strong enough, your ligaments are not strong enough yet because they haven't fully set yet. I'm using that term very loosely.
Right.
And if that's the case, if you load up the body with stuff that it's not ready to take, it will break down. So, that's probably a situation with him. I don't know for a fact that it's
right. No, he's very talented.
Have.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets it right. Because he was running sometimes that was really impressive when he was like 16, 17. Now he's 18, I think. He'll be 19 this year, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah, he ran under 20 at Carifta last year. Yeah. So the thing about it is that I don't know for a fact why his body breaks down the way it does. What I do hope is that they find a solution around it. Because I suspect, look, when MVP takes an interest in you from you're in high school,
right,
tells you that they see something in you that can become something better, bigger and better and greater.
Yeah.
So let's see.
All right, let's take one more and then we call it a night because it's over an hour. Lamardo Music Mix on your channel is saying, do you guys think Oblique can challenge Brian over the 200?
Not this year. Oblique says he wants to run more 200 this year. Whether or not, look, Oblique is what? He ran a 19.9 on a flat 200 in Atlanta. But 19.9 and 19.6 are eons apart.
They're different stratosphere. Yeah.
They're different stratosphere. The reality is that Oblique, remember, Brian Levy is the third fastest Jamaican all time now.
Right.
Only Bolt and Blake, those two names alone should tell you what kind of stratosphere he's in. And he's only just starting. So if he continues to progress the way we've seen in the last two seasons, he's gone from 1997 to 1964 and 9.97 to 982. He has the speed and the strength. A little bit more strength and a bit more experience and probably a bit improvement in his mechanics. So possibly go 19.5 this year on a flat, and not certainly over a series of races, but certainly on a one-off race.
Right.
I think he came around 19.5 now. So the short answer to your question is no. Oblique, as fast as Oblique is, Oblique could probably lead him off the curve. I doubt that very much.
I still doubt that.
But even if he's close, last 100 is gone. It's gone.
Respectfully to Oblique, and that's not happening. I mean, if they were to go to that levels, that means Glenn would be doing something with oblique that would suggest that who knows what he was going he would be like trying to go for some ridiculous times in the 100 meters if he were to get up to that level. So
Yeah, because look, if oblique has 9.7, I think he's actually faster than 9.7. I think oblique can run 9.6. I'm convinced of that.
Right.
And I said it to you last year as well. But the thing about it is not just the speed, it's be able to that speed distribution and holding that speed.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, Glenn knows exactly what to do to get oblique to that level. But it's not going to happen in a year. It's probably not going to happen in 2 years. So by the time oblique gets to like 27, who knows? He might be a 19.5, 19.6, 200-meter sprinter, but not in 2026. I think ground level is already at that level. So I think in terms of the 200, I think level is streets ahead of him right now. Whether that remains the same over the next 2 or 3 years is to be seen. But right now, ground level to me is in that company of Blake and Bowles as somebody who is going to probably run 19.4 or even faster in the years to come, because he clearly he demonstrated that last year in Tokyo.
Yeah, and he has a whole time ahead of him. Well, Leighton, this was fun. I want to thank you guys for coming on, and I know people are watching on the rebroadcast at some point too, so get your comments in. Not a big track and field meet this weekend. Millrose Games on Sunday, probably the most famous indoor meet in the United States. So we'll be watching that, and I'll be doing a watch along probably.
How he pulled out of the Wanamaker Mile as well. So.
Yeah, I saw that. Josh Hoey's out of it, so who knows? I don't know if he's hurt. If who knows? You run that fast, you're probably like, let's take it easy.
Yeah, probably that week for recharge the batteries.
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe me and Leighton might be back again next week, or if we have time to chop up what happened then. But don't forget to subscribe to his channel. I'm sure he's going to put out some new videos by tomorrow or the next couple of days.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny you should say that. I have a video to edit. I should have edited it today, but as I said, the vertigo had me all over the place. But I did an interview with Jola Lloyd, and I'm going to edit it and publish tomorrow. Where, as you know, she's going. She graduated from SSU with a master's degree in sports psychology, and she's going pro. And she's going pro without a shoe contract. I spoke to her about that and some of her goals. Because she said the reason why she's decided to go pro was she has some unfinished business in terms of her PB is 11:01. She said she wants to go under 11 seconds this year. That's one of her main targets for 2026. So that interview is going up tomorrow during the course of the day tomorrow. And I have a couple of other interesting interviews to do. I can't talk about the one I have an interview scheduled for tomorrow night, but trust me, it's going to be very interesting. It involves a young character champion who's not from Jamaica. That's all I can say.
That's a lot. That's a lot of guessing there, and I'm not going to do any guessing online either. So we look forward to that, and so we'll see you guys another time, and Leighton, we'll catch up in the week. All right.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, guys. Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.